the news of the day. If this surprises you, I just don't know what to say to you. But Kliff Kingsbury was fired by the Arizona Cardinals, and Rob should have never had the job. Had a losing record at Texas Tech, a middle of the road college program.
He got run out of there, Chris.
Right, got fired from Texas Tech. Couldn't win despite having 3 NFL quarterbacks. Davis Webb, who's not anything in the NFL, but he made it there, and so he was good in college. Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes. So I don't know what they expected him to do at Arizona, but he did about what you would expect looking at his record. So bad history, bad performance in Arizona. Made the playoffs once, but 4-13 this year. 1 winning season, I believe, in his 4 years. And bad relationship with the franchise quarterback who ain't going nowhere because of his contract. So all of that, Rob, turns into him losing his job. And I don't know who would be surprised by this, but what are your thoughts on this situation?
First of all, he was rewarded too prematurely. He got that new deal, Chris, that they got to pay through 2027. We both said that at the time that he got it. Like, what are they thinking? Like, really? And it also tells you about how people think from season to season, Chris, that things automatically, like whatever happened last year is just going to roll over into the next one. It just doesn't work like that. And we saw them. If you remember, they started out 7-0. Do you remember that? 2 years ago.
That
was a year and a half, Chris. That was a year and a half ago.
10-2, I believe, too.
And they got off to a great start. And look where they are now and the mess that's there. That's just my point, is that it's an ongoing thing. And I think they were too premature to give this guy 4 more years. What is it?
The extension was just
ridiculous.
They don't know what they're doing. And Steve Keim, the GM who resigned,
and he's sick,
health reasons, had something to do. But he had gotten an extension too.
Right, both of them just got new extensions. Off of what, Chris? Off of that awful playoff game, Kyler Murray. You remember the game against the Rams?
Yes.
It was one of the worst playoff games we ever saw. That got you an extension?
Well, Kyler, of course, got the extension. Now, I can understand that obviously he didn't live up to it this year, but he had 2 good regular seasons, a bad playoff game. But we had talked about it, Rob. And look, if he turns out to just be a bad quarterback, then obviously this would be a mistake. But if he plays well, like if a new coach gets him back, his footing back under him, and Kyler is back to what he was doing and then some, what you kind of expect, then we said it. If you waited, you would ended up paying him more. So that contract, I think, is still
well.
Up
You have
in
no
the air
choice when you
the
draft a guy there. Right, I'm with you.
Right,
but the coach,
no,
because when they try to the coach and the GM, I thought that was ridiculous, and ownership signed off on it. It's just like with the Colts, they gave Frank Reich an extension, Chris, last year.
They should not have fired Frank Reich.
Right. No.
How'd they go with Jeff Saturday?
They could have.
They were historically bad.
Frank Reich could have done exactly what Jeff Saturday did, Chris.
He wouldn't have. They wouldn't have been that bad.
No,
Rob. They wouldn't have
blown a 33. They wouldn't have blown a 33-point lead if Frank Reich was called.
Well, they weren't that far out of it when Reich got fired.
Exactly. But anyway, my point is, I'm with you. It's not a shocker. This was going nowhere fast, and you don't like. I know Rob G is sick because the Raiders won't do anything with Josh McDaniels because it's a money thing. They're paying John Gruden, Chris. They're paying who else? They're paying a couple other coaches. Rob G, how many guys are they paying? Like a couple people, Chris. So they're paying 3 other coaches. So they don't want to pay Josh McDaniels too. But Josh McDaniels, I'm sorry. What a bad first year that was.
Yeah, it was horrible. And on top of his sorry performance in Denver in his first head coaching stint, he's got to be on the high seat. You could justify firing him. You could easily justify firing him. It doesn't seem like they are, but he'll be on the hot seat next year, Rob. He will be on the hot seat. I guess they're going to go try to get we'll see who they try to get for quarterback. It can't be Jared the Javelin, I wouldn't think. But it is going – Arizona, Rob, is not a good job. Despite having – I don't know what Kyler Murray is, right? We'll see what he ends up. It seems like, he's rubbed a lot of people in the organization the wrong way. But that organization does not know what it is doing. We brought up the 2 contract extensions for the GM, now gone.
Right.
The head coach, now gone. Remember they drafted Josh Rosen after 1 year, got rid of him.
Yep. It's been a nightmare.
Steve Wilkes, they gave 1 year. Wilkes did a good job this year in Carolina. I don't know if he ends up getting the job there, but he didn't get a fair shot in Arizona.
I agree, and I thought he did a good job, too. They played for him in Carolina. Remember, they got rid of McCaffrey, and they didn't have a quarterback, and then they put Sam Darnold back in, and they won some games. They beat
Jay Walker. It was a mess what he had. Like you said, got rid of McCaffrey, and he did do a good job.
They beat the Lions. They also beat Tampa Bay. Like, they won some games. So Steve Wilkes was another guy who really got worked over.
But it'll be interesting to see where they go and who wants that job. And then there's news, Rob, that Kyler Murray's going to have some say. I don't know about that. Because I think Kyler, he didn't get along with this coach, at least to some degree.
Chris, I'm against it. I'm just going to come straight out. I'm against it. What Kyler Murray, how? What impact?
What's he done?
Chris, they had to put in his contract that he had to watch video. And that's the guy who's going to be. That's the guy naming the coach? I just don't get it. If you want to say, hey, and just, have a little meeting, but to act like.
Throw by, look.
These are some guys we're thinking about, hey, you got any kind of input or anybody with any of these guys? We'd love to hear what you have to say, but you're not in the hiring process. Come on.
No, and they need to let him know that. Like you said, Rob, show him, make him feel like he's a part.
List.
Like,
here's the list.
Who we're thinking about.
Right.
And Rob, I would do this. I would sit down, like, even before I really get into the process, I might sit down with Kyler and say, okay, what would you like to do? What type of not names,
right?
But
what
just
kind of
what type
offense
of
do you want to run?
Feel best in? Yeah, that type of stuff. And then we'll go look at the guys, and I can show him some names. But no, nothing significant as far as his involvement in the coaching hiring process. Not at all.
Can't do it. I'm telling you, it's a mistake. It's a mistake.